second proposal for the return of the hostages, which is based on U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff's proposal for a short-term ceasefire in exchange for half of the living hostages held by Hamas in the tunnels of Gaza. The Prime Minister says the proposal was recently conveyed to the terror group through the mediators, but so far it's not budging.
The cabinet, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu decided to bring back some of the members of the Israeli delegation that is in Doha since last week and keep their other members of the delegation. That is the decision that has been made today in the cabinet after the discussion. It means, of course, that Israel is still giving a chance to some sort of a deal with Hamas and the operation in Gaza is still not reaching its ultimate level of intensity because Israel wants still to give a chance to a probable deal that will bring back some of the Israeli hostages. That's what we understand from this decision by the cabinet. But of course, the families of the hostages forum that issued a statement today are demanding the Israeli government to bring back all of the Israeli hostages all at once. They are saying that the excuses are gone, that the Israeli army already defeated Hamas militarily and killed most of its leaders, and it's time to bring back the remaining 58 Israeli hostages in Gaza. They're saying that the vast majority of the Israelis are in favor of bringing back the hostages, and they think that it's more important than defeating Hamas. That's what the statement is saying. And today we're getting more information about the conditions of Matan Tzawkauger, one of the living Israeli hostages in Gaza. His mother, Inav, has been very vocal and very active in the protest to bring the hostages back. And our colleague from the Hebrew channel, Jonathan Ravi, is bringing some more information about Matan that has been held in Gaza since October 7th with Idan Alexander. He has lost a lot of his body weight and he's suffering from muscle weakness. That's what the new revelation about him is saying. And as a result of his illness and the conditions of captivity, Matan has been suffering for a long time from intestinal blockages and severe abdominal pain. That's what we are getting. And in recent months, he has been in a very difficult mental state, refusing to eat and talk, locking himself in a corner of the tunnel for long hours. Of course, very harsh conditions that the hostages are staying in. His mother, Inav, is calling after this new revelation on the Israeli government to bring Matan and the rest of the hostages as soon as possible because they don't have time. That's what she is saying. And that, of course, is the position that almost every family of a hostage that belongs to the Families of the Hostage Forum has. They think that it's much more important to bring back the hostages.
Correspondent Balich Sladin at Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. Thank you, Balich. For more now, we welcome to studio security analyst Jonathan Regev. So, Jonathan, no concrete outcome out of talks in Doha, and we know that senior members of the Israeli negotiating team are heading home. At the same time, as we heard now in that update from Hostage Square, reports suggest the condition of Matan Zangalka is beyond concerning. He can barely walk. Talk to us about how this kind of information puts pressure on teams to get to a deal.
I would say puts pressure because obviously it outlines the necessity and the urgency to bring the hostages back quickly. But this has been the case for a year and 7 months now. We knew since day one that it's important to bring everybody back quickly, and it has not happened. For good reasons, for bad reasons, of course, anyone can have their own opinion. But the fact is that there, as far as we know, anything between 20 and 23 hostages that are alive, that can be saved, that have to be brought back. We know that all of them are in bad condition after 19 months in captivity. We know they're in bad condition. They have to be brought back quickly, and it's not happening. Is it due to the fact that the conditions put out by Hamas are impossible for Israel to accept? Perhaps. Is it due to the stubbornness of Netanyahu and his government? also a possibility. Whatever it is, it's well understood that the hostages need to be brought back quickly. We said there's 20 to 23 alive, judging by what we're hearing, and it's not going to be a long time until those numbers, unfortunately, will be lower.
Devastating to think that the families have to wait, knowing that senior members of the team have come back and just a low-level team in terms of the delegation, in terms of seniority, remains in the Qatari capital. Stay with us. We've got much more to discuss, because still with the story, earlier I asked Gidi Grinstein, former peace negotiator under Prime Minister Ehud Barak, for his take on the Trump administration's impact on a possible ceasefire hostage deal, given that the president himself had vowed back in February of this year that if the hostages weren't freed, all hell would break loose. Let's take a listen. Israel is waiting to hear about what's going to happen with its hostages. So talk to us about what has changed. What happened to all hell breaking loose?
So I believe that part of what's happening to all hell breaking loose is the Americans spoke about mass displacement from Gaza of Palestinians, and eventually Israel taking over Gaza, handing it over to the United States so they can build some sort of a major, it was called Riviera, along the Gaza beach. Right now we see it's highly intangible. All the countries that were mentioned were actually, most of them were fake mentioned. Albania was mentioned, Morocco was mentioned, Somaliland, all these countries. None of this exists. Just last week we heard about Libya, and then a week later State Department, led by Rubio, said there is no negotiations with Libya. So the mass displacement is not happening. And that means that Israel is being kind of moving itself into a situation where it will be responsible for the well-being of many Palestinians, 1.5 to 2 million Palestinians. This is a very bad outcome for the war. And so basically, when we say all hell will break loose, how much worse can it be in Gaza? The population has been displaced. 70, 80% of the buildings have been destroyed. The humanitarian situation is really challenging for us, and we're paying the price internationally. So we're seeing a military, very questionable military operation. We're moving into a political diplomatic fiasco in Gaza, and therefore the pressure is actually converging on Israel. And I think that this is where we may have seen the Netanyahu's decision to turn on the humanitarian aid, and hopefully, I believe, I would like to see moving toward a deal at the end of the day in Doha, meaning I hope that Adam Boehler was more right than the Qataris when they were describing the situation in Doha.
Well, let me put you on the spot and say, if you can imagine that you are in that room in Doha, all these stakeholders are there right now. What is it going to take? At this juncture, Israel doesn't even know officially how many of the hostages are alive. No proof of life, no list, no confirmation, no Red Cross. Israel's still waiting for that information. What advice are you giving if you were sitting in Doha as we speak?
Well, first of all, the decisions are not being made in Doha. They're being made in Jerusalem. And what will be required in order to get the deal in Doha is the following things. Number one, acknowledging that there will have to be a Palestinian self-governing body that will replace Hamas. And that Palestinian self-governing body, in one way or another, is associated with the Palestinian Authority or the PLO. This is the first main change in the Israeli position that has to happen. The second is Israel has to come with its own plan about the future of Gaza. That plan will need to divide the area of Gaza into two territories. Area A, which will be controlled by the equivalent of Area A in the West Bank, which will be controlled by the Palestinians and the international force, and the security perimeter, which we can refer to as Area B, where Israel has security controlled. Israel will have to acknowledge that there will be a transition period of a few years, during which there will be capacity building and reconstruction of Gaza, ahead of discussing the future, you may want to call it permanent status of Gaza. These are the kind of ideas that if Israel comes forward and put them on the table, the Arab side will support us, the Americans will support us, the Europeans will support us, and then the pressure will shift to Hamas. Right now, I think that the military pressure may be on Hamas, but the political pressure is on us. And I think that there is a way to change these dynamics, but that requires Israel coming forward with its own vision for the day after and the political horizon of Gaza that connects the economic side with the political side. And it can be done, it should be done.
Would the Hamas threat still exist under the scenario you are painting?
So we have to remember that Hamas is a movement that has an economic side, social side, political side, and military side. We have to focus on getting the military wing out of Gaza, absolutely a must for the political process, and all the Arab countries around us support this. Egypt wants it, Jordan wants it, the UAE, Qatar, everybody is willing to support, everybody supports the displacement of the military wing of Hamas. Regarding the political wing of Hamas, there is a provision in the Oslo Accord that I believe that Israel should insist on, and that is that any political party that participates in the future government of the Palestinian Authority has to accept the Oslo Accords, namely accept the recognition of Israel. With regard to the social side, it's going to require billions of dollars investment in the social infrastructure, welfare and healthcare and education in Gaza, so that the money, whatever money that Hamas has, becomes irrelevant. Sadly, the Americans cut out all foreign aid, or most of the foreign aid, and USAID. So a major tool of American foreign policy is no longer existent. But at the end of the day, with billions of dollars on the ground, the social infrastructure of Hamas could be displaced. And then we're left with the economic side. And in the economic side, again, if there is a healthy economy in Gaza, movements of goods and services, the market begins to operate, the power of Hamas will be eroded. The ideology of Hamas will be there for decades to come, but the power of Hamas could be diminished, and it requires political vision. There is a plan forward, but right now we don't see it from our government.
Gidi Grinstein, always appreciate your insights. Obviously, a developing situation. We wait to see what happens in Doha and, as you say, in Jerusalem as well. Thank you very much for being here in studio.